Buddhist leader Artissa once said, "The greatest wisdom is seeing through appearances." The PLP government would love for the people of Bermuda to believe this year's budget is one which will solve many of the island's economic problems, but the fact of the matter is it will not. David Burt even said today, quote, "The promises we made have been delivered," and also said, "We can look at these figures and pat ourselves on the back." This is simply not the reality of everyday Bermudians. This budget reminds me of when I was a small boy and my parents promised me favorite candy on the condition that if I ate all my dinner, I'd get it. And eagerly I did, but the candy did not taste so sweet. This is not what Bermuda was expecting in this budget. This is what Premier David Burt and the PLP government wants you to believe, that this budget is sweet when it isn't. At this juncture, it just looks different. Premier Burt says for the first time in years, his government is projecting a balanced budget. The One Bermuda Alliance is glad to hear this. We hope that it will be the case, but we have grave concerns, as this government has raided the sinking fund and borrowed money. This budget is aspirational. They've done this before and overshot. This isn't the first time the people of Bermuda have heard this. In 2019, he made the same assertion, but a balanced budget didn't happen. Are we going to end up down that road again in 2024? It's cold comfort when the reality on this island is it's very difficult to find affordable housing. You can't afford to buy a bag of groceries or buy one for under $100. There's massive potholes everywhere. There are approximately 600 people without homes in Bermuda. Until real change is felt, then all these words are cold words. The Premier speaks of us having to get expert consultants in the game to help guide him through. However, every step of the way, he hasn't listened to the people, fishermen and taxi drivers, who haven't had a rate increase since the One Bermuda Alliance government. Premier Burt has explained how, or rather, Premier Burt hasn't explained how he is going to reduce the cost of living. All he's given us are aspirations. But you can't continue to reduce taxes without stimulating the economy. Once again, he's kicking the can down the road instead of giving the people of Bermuda what they deserve, a tangible plan. Premier Burt and the PLP government are great at reflecting and saying, "I'm sorry." But where are the actions that the people of Bermuda really need in order to see a better tomorrow? Today, Premier Burt spent so much time focused on the opposition, but those pages in his statements should have been dedicated to solving the island's economic problems. He can't fix our problems by focusing on attacking anyone who questions him or provides alternative visions. Instead, he could have proposed solutions for healthcare and immigration. There was no mention of growing the population. The Premier seems fixated on the international business sector, which is no doubt a valuable contributor to our economy. But the One Bermuda Alliance feels that IB's successes continue to conceal the consequence of government ineptitude. Every resident on this island deserves a better Bermuda, not just today, but in the years to come. And it's becoming more and more clear that the Progressive Labour Party will not get us there. Thank you. I'll take questions now.
Just very quickly, you say the idea of a balanced budget was aspirational, but surely it's best to have those aspirations. Surely it's best to be in a position whereby there could be a balanced budget.
Yeah, we're at the point now in Bermuda where we have to move beyond basically an aspirational hope and dream state. The simple fact of the matter is that all of the easy decisions have been made in Bermuda's past, and now we're at the point that the only thing that's left is hard decisions.
I mean, it's aspirational, but it's within grasp. By the looks of things, balanced budget.
Well, the simple fact is that you don't know that until the end of this budget year. Yeah. Right now, I mean, look, we're promised, there's a ton of things that are promised to us, especially on the revenue side. And on the revenue side, all of that's coming from international business, which has a lot more to do with events taking place overseas than it does in Bermuda. So the simple fact is that serendipity is by no means a governance strategy.
You said the budget was not what Bermuda was expecting. What was Bermuda expecting?
Bermuda was expecting how the roads are going to get fixed.
Well, you said that
today.
100% increase in paving work.
Yeah, well, when you draw down a budget over 5 years and then when you put the money back, that's not exactly the solution.
5 million isn't enough.
No, they've made it quite clear that Colonel Birch has made it quite clear that he needs a lot more money. to repave the roads.
So what else was Bermuda expecting apart from the roads?
Well, apart from the roads was the point that one in four of our population in the next few years will be a senior citizen. And that means that we need more young people in Bermuda to sustain our healthcare and to sustain and stimulate our economy. So, and equally, by the way, Minister Hayward had pointed that out in the report regarding aging demographics. So what we're expecting is, if you say there's a problem and there's a solution, we're expecting you to keep going with that solution. We don't expect you to be quiet about it.
Isn't that part of the economic strategy, though, that's ongoing anyway, the job growth?
Yeah, so is vertical farming and fish
You
processing.
wouldn't necessarily expect to see it in the budget, that's what I'm saying.
No, I would expect to see mention of it. I would definitely expect it, especially given any impact on cost. The simple fact is that a lot of these initiatives are going to have cost implications. So yes, there are some things that belong primarily in, for example, in the throne speech, and then others belong in the budget. But at the end of the day, it's one set of problems impacting both areas.
You talked about stimulating the economy, but GDP, I can't remember the exact figure now, is that due to go up by about 4%, I think you said in the budget today? But also there's hundreds of new jobs. I mean, the economy is being stimulated, isn't it?
Yeah, so this is what so first of all, total jobs in market is the statistic. So if we're losing the amount of jobs that are available in Bermuda altogether, and then we see a blip, that's just us recovering. That's not us growing larger. And again, international business sector has been quite successful over the last 2 to 3 years. And so we're basically relying on their success.
There was a pronouncement obviously about the global minimum tax or corporate income tax. The Premier said it could be as much as 750 million, with income starting to come in perhaps July next year. He's made it plain that he wants to use this to cut payroll taxes, etc. And stimulate the economy. What would you do with it? What would the OBA do with it?
Well, we made the point that we have to address our debt situation as a matter of urgency, and that's why we proposed the amendment that we did. But I would also add that the speech said we're not going to talk a lot about corporate income tax, and then he talked a lot about corporate income tax. So I wasn't there. I didn't quite follow all of the logic.
The other thing he's doing, I just wonder what your thoughts were on this. There was some, I suppose, unused borrowing is the best way of phrasing it. Something like 89 million, 40 million of which he's using to keep healthcare costs down, the premiums down, and 10 million for low-cost housing. Do you agree with that?
Well, we have a lot of ideas that we're going to put in the reply to the budget, and so we'll speak to it at that point.
Well, just on this point, though, I mean, they're using unused borrowing. Is that something the OBA would do?
Yeah, like I said, next week we're really looking forward to go into a lot of that in detail. But at this point, we've only just heard exactly what you've just heard, and there's a lot to be explored in that budget book. And I suppose, speaking to the public, very mindful that what the Premier says and then what's in the budget book they're just two separate documents, and the answers to a lot of these problems lie in the budget book, not in the budget statement.
Okay, thanks.
Good afternoon.
You said that the balanced budget is aspirational, but do you acknowledge that it is an achievement for the PLP government, or do you take issue with the numbers?
What we take issue with is claiming victory in a space that they had no role in. The simple fact, again, we're just overly reliant on international business. Our domestic economy continues to be stagnant. People are feeling that the economy isn't growing anywhere. Their pocketbooks are still hurting. The groceries are still costing. Electricity is still going up. So as much as we're turning around and saying our economy is doing great, let's stay on course. You have to turn around and go, no, I lost the front wheel of my bike on the way here. This is not a good economy.
And could the OBA have produced a balanced budget?
Could the OBA have? Well, one of the things I really look forward to when we return to government is having all of those resources and all of that access to that information for the purposes of producing a balanced budget. But again, going into our reply to the budget statement, we have quite a lot we'd like to show the public and discuss.
Okay. And Premier David Byrd said the economy is heading in the right direction, but acknowledges that too many residents are still not feeling the benefits. Do you think today's budget statement will help to reduce the cost of living for Bermudians?
Premier Byrd has said that same statement sort of year on year. Every year I've known him. So at this point, I'm kind of going like, well, he says that no matter what's happening. Yeah. So the cost of living has to go down because we have to sustain our population. Now, the question of how we do it, that's not easy. But if you keep repeating the same thing over and over again, you should not expect a different result.
And you noted that there was no mention of growing the population. Is this something that you would have liked to see take priority in the pages of the budget statement?
Given that it's key, it's a key issue, given that it's causal, given that a lot of our economic issues are stemming from the lack of population in Bermuda, or certainly our lack of awareness. We really don't know how many people are here. Then we would expect that issue to be addressed as a matter of urgency.
And finally, an entire subsection in the budget statement comprised of around 1,300 words criticized the opposition. What's your response?
Well, that was the, that's one of our problems is you can't spend that much time worried about people who differ from you or bring alternative visions forward. As much as there's a lot of ideas in Bermuda. There's a lot of people with different ideas in Bermuda. And if we spend all of our time as politicians simply attacking anything that's different from us, we're never going to solve these problems. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.
Thank you all.